Hello and welcome to the Genesis Edge product line video series. My name is Charles Johnson. I am the lead trainer slash technical engineer at Lynxspring, and today we're going to be talking about alarming. So what is alarming? Well, alarming is the process of enunciating when an anomaly occurs. So something is off. A point can go into alarm or fault. If it goes into alarm, the value is still valid and is used in the system. And when the point goes into fault, it is no longer considered valid and is ignored in the system. So let's say a space temperature is reading 78 degrees. Well, that might be a little warm. However, we can still use that in the logic. We're just going to send an alarm to our to our personnel. Now, if someone were to cut the wire of it and read a negative number, well, now we're going to send a fault, and we're going to make sure that the system doesn't use it in the logic. So how do we add alarms? Well, we're going to be using the alarm palette to add alarm extensions to our components. We're then going to link these alarm extensions or match them to an alarm class. And then we're going to route those alarm classes to our recipients. We have a console recipient and a station recipient. The console recipient is a recipient that actually looks at the alarms in the station itself. And should we need to actually send those alarms anywhere else to, like, let's say a supervisor, then we're going to need a station recipient. But today we're going to be dealing with the console recipient. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're logged into our station and we're going to go to our services container. And I'm just going to double click on the alarm service. This is going to bring me to the wire sheet of the alarm service. That is the default view for it. Now, I can drag an alarm class out if I want to, or I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this default alarm and name it high priority alarms. The default alarm class should be anything that you want to be a nuisance alarm that we don't necessarily want to send to the system, or rather the console recipient. So under my high priority alarms, I'm going to say that any of them are going to come in at 1. And we see that we have 255 by default, which means that the higher the priority, the higher it's going to be seen in the console recipient, and the lower the priority, the lower it's going to be seen in that console recipient. So I'm going to say 127 for to alert and to normal and to alert. And we're going to enable the escalation levels, and at least just one of them. Now, this escalation level, what happens is that if the alarm goes to a console and is not acknowledged after 5 minutes, then it's going to send the alarm somewhere else. And it'll continue to do that until it gets to the third escalation level. And after the third escalation level, it will no longer send that alarm. I'm going to go ahead and select save. And now I'm going to bring out 2 console recipients. The first one is going to be the control room recipient, or we'll just say control room console. And I want all my high priority alarms to go here. So I'm going to route my alarm source, which is my high priority alarm class, to my route alarm target in my console recipient. Now, I'm going to have a second console here, and I'm going to name it security desk. So if my control room console doesn't see the alarm, after 5 minutes, my security desk will. Now that I have set my alarm class and my console recipients, let's go ahead now and actually set up a few alarms. Now, I'm going to be dealing with just the alarm palette today, but know that you can actually find some alarm extensions in Kit Control as well. And remember, there are additional recipients in the email palette and the SMS palette. Now, I expand the extensions folder here in the alarm palette, and you'll see that I have numeric, string, Boolean, and enum alarms. Remember that Niagara is built on the common object model, which normalizes data into four different types: Boolean, enum, numeric, and string. So right now, with my freeze stat alarms, my smoke alarm, and my high static alarm, I'm going to be adding a Boolean change of state alarm, which basically says that when there's a change of state, based upon which state it goes to, I will go ahead and alarm my system. So I'm going to drag a Boolean change of state alarm to my freeze stat, and I'm just going to rename the extension alarm. I'm going to expand my point and now double click on my alarm extension. And to fault, I'm not going to change anything, but to off normal, I'm going to say free stat tripped or free stat trip. And then I'm going to say free stat normal. I'm going to go to my off normal algorithm and make sure that my alarm value is the alarm value that I want. And now I set the alarm class to high priority alarms. Now that I have this set up, I can go ahead and right click copy. I'm going to paste this into my smoke alarm and my high static alarm. And I'm actually going to change these names to obviously smoke detector and high static smoke alarm trip. And same thing for my high static. Okay. Well, now I'm going to set my temperature sensors with the out of range alarm extension. And I can apply the same thing to my humidity and my static pressure sensors, but just to show you here how to set up at least one of these out of range alarm extensions, I'm going to do just the space temp sensor. Now I'm going to drag my out of range alarm extension on top of my supply air temp underscore sensor. And I'm going to name it alarm because I like to give my extensions names that people can actually understand. And now when I double click it, you see that this is already expanded. And it's already expanded because I already had it expanded in my previous view. So the system assumes that I want to do it in my current view. So to off normal text, I may not actually put anything here. I actually may use just the high limit and low limit text. But to fault, I'm not going to say anything there either because I'm going to use the fault algorithm here. But to normal, I will say space temp or supply air sensor back to normal. Okay, so now I'm going to configure my off normal algorithm by first enabling the high and low limit. These need to be enabled for it to send an alarm and for the text to be seen. Now for my high limit, I'm gonna do 110, and my low limit I'm going to do as we'll say 30. And I'm going to do a 5-degree deadband in here to make sure that the value just doesn't bounce between. I want to make sure that the deadband is there and it's a reasonable number so where the alarm doesn't constantly go on and off. So now for my alarm high limit, I'm going to do a B format example here. And I'm going to say that I'm going to do alarm data. Let's try this again. Alarm data dot source name is greater than my high limit, so it's going to be alarm data dot high limit. Now, I like doing it this way because if this were to change for any reason, um, I don't necessarily want to show, I want this to change and be dynamic without me having to change anything here. And then I will do alarm data dot source name is less than alarm data dot low limit and percent. I'm going to change my alarm class to my high priority alarms. And now my fault algorithm, I'm going to do 300 minus 10 with a 10-degree deadband. And I can actually do the same thing here, but I could also say sensor failed high and sensor failed low. Changes to a capital H. Enable my high and low limit text. Select save. And now I can right click and copy and paste all these. But if I'm going to do that, I probably want to change this to show the alarm.source name, because otherwise it's not going to know what it is. So now let's right click, copy, and paste in my sensors. Now I'm not going to show the humidity or the static sensor. Obviously, you'll need to change the parameters there, but the same setup is the same. And the last alarm I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go to my fan command, and I'm going to add my Boolean command failure extension. So this is actually going to be a difference between command and status. So while I'm in my inputs, I'll right click link mark fan status. And now let's go ahead and configure this feedback here. To off normal, I'm going to say supply fan failed. And to normal, supply fan is normal. And now my feedback value, this is where I need to link the fan status. However, I need to do something a bit special. But I'm going to change my alarm class here to high priority alarms and select save. And now currently, we're going to go ahead and right click on my fan command and go to composite. And now I'm going to expand my fan command, expand my alarm, and expand the off normal algorithm. And I'm just going to double click on the feedback value. Now I'm going to rename this fan status in for it to be easily a little more recognizable. And now I can right click on my fan command, link from fan status, go from the out source of my fan status to my fan status in of my Boolean command failure alarm extension. So now, after that, if I have any alarms here, I'm going to go back and look at my control room console. And we can see that I have some some temperature sensor alarms in here. So normally when they come in, they're going to beep. You can select silence, which is fine. Here in the security desk, if I had anything that alarmed even more, it would actually go here. However, that's all I have for today. I hope you have a great one, and I'll see you in the next one.